Reincarnated as a literal rabbit, a system that barely works, a pacifist protagonist in a kill-or-be-killed world, and an actual decodable cipher hidden in the pages and ready for you to decipher. Let's dive into Bunny Girl Evolution. Hey darling, welcome back. Boyce here. And here on my channel, it is my goal to help you find your next book obsession. I'm in my hoodie of the day, I'm comfy, I'm cozy, and I'm ready to dive into today's video. Today we're looking at Bunny Girl Evolution, Book 1 by Sir Bedivere the Mad, and I still love his pen name, by the way. I get a kick out of that every single time. I'm going to help you figure out if this book of his belongs on your TBR or your absolutely not list. I'm going to tell you exactly who should not read this book, and you might be surprised to discover who is on that list. So if you want honest book talk, hit subscribe. Now let's dive in. So quick housekeeping, this is a first look where I break down reader reactions to help you and I both decide if we want to add this book to our TBR. This is book 1 in an ongoing series. Book 4 drops in August. The subgenre is Monster Evolution Lit RPG, which means the protagonist isn't human, and she doesn't just level up by stacking skill points. She actually evolves. Her body changes as she gets stronger. Now, the numbers. 4.5 stars, I believe, on Amazon from over 800 ratings and over 500 ratings on Goodreads. Those are really healthy numbers for a debut lit RPG. But here's the wild part. On Amazon, there are 0 1-star reviews, 0 2-star reviews on a book with 800 plus ratings. That does not happen by accident. Either every reader who didn't connect with this book quietly walked away without leaving a rating, which, let's be real, is probably not what happened, or Bedivere is doing something most debut lit RPG authors cannot pull off. Either way, there's a data point worth paying attention to. Now here are the tropes you need to know. We've got Reincarnated as a non-humanoid, and I mean she wakes up as a literal rabbit. Not a humanoid rabbit girl, not a cute anthropomorphic anything, like a rabbit. We've got a charisma build, which is pretty rare in lit RPG, where most protagonists go straight for the combat stats. We've got a mysterious destiny skill called Mark of Fate that even the main character doesn't fully understand. And we've got a reluctant pacifist protagonist trying to survive in a world where everything bigger than her wants her for dinner. So here's the pitch. Elise spent her whole life on Earth being mocked for her big ears and her buck teeth. She works herself into the ground at her job and wakes up in a fantasy world reborn as exactly what people always teased her about looking like. A big-eared, buck-toothed rabbit. Cue existential crisis. In this new world, she's got a system assistant that's barely functional, a skill called Mark of Fate that doesn't come with a user manual, and approximately every creature in this world wants to eat her. Now, there's something Bedivere does in this book that has readers split right down the middle. Some love it, some skip it. I will tell you exactly what that is when we get to what readers are saying, because it might be the thing that decides whether this book is for you. More on that in a minute. For now, back to Elise. Here is what's actually happening in the book. She gets adopted as a pet by a human family called the Greys. And stay with me on this, she is a sentient creature who knows exactly what she is, and they don't. So you're watching this whole interior life happen behind a rabbit's eyes while her humans are feeding her and treating her like a sweet, snuggly little house pet. The Greys are kind to her, but the kindness exists because they don't know what she actually is. That secret that she's keeping is doing real work in the book. It's not played for laughs, it's played for tension. From there, she gets tangled up in a centuries-old war between dwarves and drow. She doesn't pick this fight, it picks her, because of that fate of the Mark of the Fate skill that she doesn't even understand. Suddenly, this rabbit is learning Dwarvish, making decisions that ripple out across kingdoms, and ending up in political situations that have real consequences. This is the part of the book that surprises readers the most. It's not the cozy rabbit story the premise might suggest. And along the way, and this is the heart of the book, I think, Elise has to make decisions about what kind of creature she's actually willing to become. The system gives her options. She refuses the one that doesn't align with her morals, even when those options would make her more powerful. She is turning down power, and you really don't see that a lot in the genre. I mean, this is a genre where most protagonists optimize for combat stats first and ethics later, but this protagonist is doing the opposite. So what makes that work? And what most lit RPG cannot pull off is that her choices feel realistic and rational. But here's the part I find genuinely impressive from a craft perspective. Bedivere does not just take combat away and leave a vacuum. He replaces it. He swaps combat stat optimization for 3 things that readers love to engage with: relationships with weight, a world dense enough to reward exploration, and moral decisions that carry real consequences. So instead of watching the numbers climb on a damage sheet, you are watching Elise build trust with the Grey family while keeping her sentience hidden. You are watching her learn entire languages from scratch and navigate political situations that have real stakes. And you are watching her decide over and over what kind of creature she is willing to be. That is the substitution. Combat stats out, as far as I can tell, social and emotional stakes in. And the reason this works, the reason this book has 0 1-star reviews and 0 2-star reviews on Amazon, I believe, is that Bedivere built each one of those replacements very solidly. And he put them in there solid enough to carry their own weight. The world building has to be dense enough to engage on its own, and his is. The relationships have to feel earned, and they do. The moral dilemmas have to have actual stakes, and they do. If any one of those was weak, the missing combat would feel like a void. But because all 3 are working, the missing combat scenes read as a deliberate choice, not an omission. And that's rare. That is really hard to pull off. Okay, so a quick aside. If I were reincarnated as an animal, I choose a panda so that I can sit on my ass and eat all day, because that sounds like heaven. Let me know what you pick. Comment below with what you pick. I'm really curious. I'm sure you have a cool idea that I overlooked. Okay, so here's what works. The world building is the strongest thing in this book by a wide margin. Bedivere is layering in multiple races, dwarves, drow, fae, multiple kingdoms, fast travel systems, secret societies operating in the background. And the thing that makes it land is that the density is calibrated. It's not too thin, it's not too dense. Reviewers consistently call out that this is a sweet spot. Bedivere thinks through the details, and you learn the world the way Elise learns it, with that fish out of water trope, instead of getting hit with an info dump. The second thing that really works, and this is rarer than it sounds in lit RPG, is that Elise is not an overpowered cheat skill protagonist. She's not min-maxing her way through this world. She thinks. She second guesses herself. She has moral hang-ups. And when she gets to her first evolution, she has multiple class options on the table. Some violent paths, like demon and assassin classes, and others more thoughtful. She turns down the violent ones because they don't sit right with her, and she picks that charisma-based social thinking class instead. If you are tired of cheat skill protagonists who solve every problem by hitting things, this is the antidote. And the protagonist, she thinks through solutions instead of fighting everything on sight. So the third thing, and this is for my audiobook people, Bunny Girl Evolution on Audible is a full cast Soundbooth Theater production with 6 freaking narrators. Dory Sachs, Justin Thomas James, Ryan H. Reed, Jeff Hayes, Andrea Parsnow, and Tess Irondale. That is a stacked freaking cast. One Audible reviewer specifically said it's one of the better performances in their library of audiobooks. So if you're an audiobook person, this is genuinely worth listening to over reading. And one more thing that really works, Bedivere mixes tonal registers really well. There's failure. There's a darker emotional weight. There's wholesome warmth, often in the same chapter. It doesn't go full grimdark. It doesn't go full cozy. It's right in the sweet spot between the two, and it earns its emotional moments because it's not begging for them. Now, on the Steam question, there is no romance plot in this book as far as I could tell, so no spice, no love interest setup. So if that's a deal breaker for you either way, now you know. This is a character and world building driven lit RPG, full stop. Okay, shameless plug. If you are already adding this to your TBR, or you're just here to listen to me prattle on about books, hit that like button so the algorithm knows you're into this kind of thing. Okay, so remember that thing I told you about earlier, the thing readers are split on? Here it is. Bedivere wrote an actual cipher into this book. When characters from different races talk, Elise can't understand them because she doesn't speak their language. So Bedivere doesn't just write They spoke in Dwarvish. He writes the real Dwarvish as a real decodable cipher. You can sit there with a pen and translate the conversations. Some readers love this. They take notes, they figure out the pattern. They feel like they're inside the world with Elise. More than one reader said they had fun breaking it. Other readers just skip past those passages because they want to keep moving with the story. And here's the thing, those readers still gave the book high ratings. Nobody hated it. They just wish it came with an in-text translation or that those passages were shorter. So here's what you need to know. The cipher passages are real, they are optional, and according to readers, they're short and entirely skippable. I will say that kind of conflicts with the idea that some readers wanted the chapters to be shorter, so I don't entirely know how long the cipher chapters go, but just keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about what the marketing tells you versus what is missing. Here's what the marketing is telling you. At surface level, this looks like a cozy fantasy. The whole vibe can come across as fun and light. I mean, the title is Bunny Girl Evolution, after all. The premise is a girl reincarnated as a rabbit, and the official tagline is, and I'm quoting, "She's a bunny, she's a girl, and she's going to evolve." So if you glance at this on Amazon, the bunny premise plus the playful tagline reads cozy adjacent. You think you might be picking up a softer, lighter read, maybe a comedy of errors with a sweet animal protagonist learning to survive. Maybe a slice of life isekai with low stakes. Maybe something you can read with a cup of tea after a hard day. The whole surface presentation, in my opinion, primes you for something gentle. But if you actually read the full Amazon synopsis, then you do see the hints of the darker story. On Earth, she worked herself to death. There's an ominous mark of fate. And everything in the world wants her dead. The cover has a wolf looming over a small rabbit. So the marketing isn't trying to deceive anyone. The danger is in there if you look for it. But the dominant first impression signal is still the bunny premise, and that might come across as cozy adventure with a clever conceit and a protagonist who is in way over her head. But here's the truth. This has multiple perspectives. You're not just in Elise's head the whole book. You will cut to other characters, sometimes mid-chapter, and that took some readers a few beats to get used to. If you're an audiobook listener, you'll barely notice because the narrators handle it. But if you are reading on Kindle or in a paperback, you may want to know that going in, there are perspective shifts that aren't always heavily signaled, or they don't always prepare you for that. The other thing the marketing doesn't tell you, this book carries real emotional weight. There are multiple character losses. There are 3 pretty heavy emotional moments that one reviewer specifically counted, and they felt like that was kind of a lot. So if you're coming to Lit RPG looking for pure power fantasy escape, this is not that. This book does have stakes and it has grief, and you should know that going in. So from a craft standpoint, let me give you 3 things that stood out to me. First, the line level writing is very clean. The grammar is professional. The sentences land where they should. There's no purple prose, no clunky construction. Now that sounds kind of basic, but it shows professionalism and skill. You can settle into the prose and forget your reading. Second, the tonal range and the system design are doing more than the genre usually does. Bedivere is moving between failure, grief, dark stakes, and wholesome warmth, sometimes in the same chapter, without those shifts feeling jarring. That requires you to set up each tonal beat carefully so the next one doesn't feel discordant when it lands. Many books in the genre pick one register and stay in it, and he's not doing that. And the system itself, the classes, the evolutions, the mark of fate, is built so that Elise's choices reveal her character, not just power level. The class refusal moment we talked about earlier, it's a system mechanic doing real emotional work. And, that's a really thoughtful design, more so than here are some abilities, here are some monsters, which I totally do and love. So there's nothing wrong with that. Third is the cipher. Writing a real decodable language and embedding it directly in your prose while making sure the story still works for readers who skip those passages. I mean, that is hard. Bedivere built it so that the cipher is real for the readers who want it and invisible for those who don't. That is a deliberate choice with 2 audiences in mind, and it really requires you to design the language and the surrounding prose together. The whole package, clean prose, tonal control, thoughtful system design, the cipher experiment, they add up to a level of work that is significantly impressive. One more thing before the verdict. I mentioned the emotional weight, but I want to underline it. There are character losses and deaths in this book that hit really hard, including one that several readers flagged as bringing them to tears. So if you're in a season of life where you need a softer read, this might be worth saving for later. The book is good, but it's not always lightweight. All right, here's the bottom line. Who is going to love this and who should skip it? You'll love this if you loved Salvo's Bunny Girl Evolution. Is doing the same thing structurally. Female non-human protagonist, monster evolution mechanics, slower interior pacing, character-driven over combat-driven. If you love Dungeon Crawler Carl for the way it humanizes its protagonist, Bunny Girl Evolution operates on a very similar emotional frequency, even though the tone is very, very different. I think you'll like this if you're tired of cheat skill, instantly overpowered protagonists, and you want a thinker MC. And I think that you're really going to like this if you're an audiobook listener. Again, the full cast of the Soundbooth Theater production is so good from everything I've read about it. Now, skip this if you want pure number go up power fantasy. This isn't that. Skip this if you usually skip introspective passages and want momentum on every page. You will be frustrated by Elise's internal debate sections. Skip this if you want a cozy escape with no real stakes or very low stakes. This one has high stakes and it has grief. Skip this one if the cipher passages would actively annoy you instead of intrigue you. And here's the make or break. If you want number go up, fight and level, watch the stats climb at lit RPG, you should skip this one. If you want thoughtful, character-driven progression fantasy where the protagonist is empathetic and slow to act, where the world building unspools gradually, and where the emotional beats actually matter, then this book was made for you. The reading experience is a little slower than typical lit RPG. I will let you know that. It's more interior. It does demand patience for character thought and gradual world building. You're not getting fights every chapter. You are getting depth. Bunny Girl Evolution is built around a protagonist who refuses to become a predator. Bottom line, this is for the lit RPG reader who wants character interiority, deliberate world building, and a protagonist who refuses to be the genre's usual murder hobo. If that's you, grab it. If not, no hard feelings. Now, links are in the description below. They might be affiliate links. I don't remember if I fixed that yet or not, so I might get a small commission if you buy something, which helps keep the channel running and is very much appreciated. Bunny Girl Evolution Book 1 is available on Kindle, KU, and Audible. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I do author interviews, book breakdowns. There's always something fun going on in the channel. Happy reading, my darling. I will see you in the next one. Oh, I'm still recording.